It's the Wild West out there. If you are a buyer trying to buy in this seller's market, you are in for a fight. So hang on to your hat, partner, because today I'm going to tell you how to win in a seller's market if you are a buyer. Hi, my name is Mary Schumann. I am a realtor in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I do videos every week about real estate and life in the Twin Cities. I would love it if you gave my video a thumbs up or hit the subscribe button and the little bell next to it so you'll be notified whenever I post a new video. Okay, so this week I wanted to talk about the crazy seller's market that we're in right now, and just mention the fact that in my team meeting this past week, we were talking about it amongst all the agents, and people that have been in this business for like 20 years are saying that they've never seen anything like it. And this all came off of a thread on our Facebook page. And I do want to read you just a couple of stories off of there because they illustrate my point, and I'm going to give you some tips on how to come out on the winning side of this. I saw a fairly good but not mind-blowing rambler, that is Minnesota for ranch, list in New Brighton last week for $275,000 and get 10 offers, and I was told that one had an escalation clause of up to $330,000. So we'll talk about what an escalation clause is. I had a buyer offer on a tiny, outdated one-story house in Longfellow last week, 2-bed, 1-bath. Listed at $240,000, we offered $10,000 over asking price and found out that we were the lowest of 8 offers. Next one, buyers submitted an offer on a 3-bed, 2-bedroom home in Columbia Heights listed for $265,000. The decline email said that there were almost 70 showings and 23 offers. I don't know the details, but it went from AI to P in 3 days. So AI is active inspection and P is pending. That's like 4 comments out of 60 that landed on that Facebook post. So today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how, if you are a buyer coming into this market, things that you really need to be prepared for as you jump into this pit. I'm calling it the gladiator pit because that's what it feels like. So let's start with number 1. And I feel like I'm beating a dead horse because in my other videos I talk about this as well. But the number 1 thing that you really need to do is to have your finances in order. What I mean by that is have your loan ready. Make sure that you're approved. Don't mess that loan up by buying something big or going into debt somehow. So you want that approval letter ready to go to attach to the offer when your agent submits it. Number 2, I would say do not rely on Zillow or Redfin or any of those other market websites that advertise homes for sale. And the reason that I'm saying that is by the time you see that listing, it's already probably 2 days old and under contract. So your agent will set up a search that is specific to you in the areas that you want, your price range, etc. And you can have those listings sent to you immediately when they come on the market. And this is really critical because speed is super important. I try to be one of the first people to view a home when it comes up if it meets one of my buyer's needs, so that we can be one of the first people to offer on that home. Hopefully, if they see a good offer right out the gate, you can get it under contract and you won't be competing with so many other people. Make sure that your offer is clean. And by a clean offer, I mean you want as few contingencies as possible. What is a contingency? A contingency is anything that could break the contract. So if you have a financing contingency, which most people do, a financing contingency, if you cannot get your mortgage, that would break the contract. Inspection contingency. Some people are giving up inspections. That is not in my comfort zone, and I would not advise it because you don't know what you're buying unless you are somebody that is quite handy and fearless when it comes to a home. So for most people, I would not give up an inspection contingency, but you might want to shorten that up. So the lower that number, the more attractive it is to the seller, because if it falls apart in an inspection, they can move on and get another offer without having their property sit on the market waiting. So other contingencies might be sale of your current home. Don't even try to offer on a property until you have a contract and a close date or closing costs. Oftentimes when people don't have a lot of money to put down on a home, they try to get the seller to contribute to their closing costs. I've been successful in the past in getting sellers to contribute up to 3% on closing costs. That's really not the case anymore. You might want to come in either with zero ask of the seller pays on closing costs, or if you really need it, maybe a lower dollar amount, or possibly a lower dollar amount and increase your bid on the sale price to cover for that amount so the seller's not actually losing any money. In Minnesota, we typically put 1% down on earnest money, but if you are trying to demonstrate your seriousness to a buyer, maybe you increase the amount of earnest money that you put down. Earnest money is your good faith deposit on that home, and it's the amount of risk that you're willing to put into the transaction yourself, because if you break that contract outside of contingencies or inspection period, you would lose that earnest money and the seller would be allowed to keep it. So the suggestion is to increase the amount of earnest money that you put down. Another one that I heard when we were talking about this in our team meeting was the idea of making either all or some of that earnest money non-refundable. So you're putting that deposit down, showing that you're intending to buy and that you mean it so much that, or even if you backed out of the deal, that they would be keeping your deposit. So you would have to be pretty sure, but it's a good way to incentivize a seller to accept your offer. Okay, inspection. This is the one that has just been giving me fits lately. So number one, try to make your inspection period as short as possible. I said our standard used to be 10 days. If you can offer 5 or 7 days or less than that, if you have an inspector that's available and ready to come out there, even better. It's beneficial to the seller because this way they know if you're going to back out of that deal because of an inspection item, that they can get right back on the market and sell to the next buyer. A lot of people are used to buying in a different kind of market and for some reason feel that inspection is indeed time for more negotiation, and that is not true. So you want to negotiate your deal on the front end. Inspection really should be asking for remedies of health and safety or structural type problems. So you don't want to go into inspection with a long list of items and expect that that seller is going to be even willing to look at your offer when they see that, to be honest, because they are in the driver's seat right now. So what you want is to only ask for what you absolutely need to make that deal go through, and don't think that this is time to renegotiate the deal. It's not. This is the time to make that house livable for you and address any health and safety issues before you move in. So, and speaking of moving in, the last thing I'd like to mention is move-in date. So just remember that when you are buying in a seller's market, you're buying someone's home and they in turn have to go buy another home. So I have run into it more than once recently where the seller has indicated that they will only accept an offer contingent on their ability to find another home that they can live in, because they're jumping right into that gladiator pit with you. So if you can have your agent talk to the other agent up front, maybe get an idea of what the preferred move date would be, and if that's something that you can work with, then you should. All right, this last one is a little controversial amongst agents in my office, and I'm gonna say it with a caveat, and that is if you wanted to write a letter to the seller about what you love about their home, about their neighborhood, things specific to their house and the area and why you wanna live there, that might be helpful to you if you demonstrate that you will love that house like they have loved that house. People are emotionally attached to the homes that they're leaving, and they want to sell to someone that's going to treat it in the same way, generally. One thing I would say, my caveat is, do not put anything in there that references a protected group or something like that, because it can come back to bite you in the buns. So don't say anything about religion or family or marital status or race or any of those things when you are writing the letter, because you don't want to introduce bias into your plea for them to sell you their home. So those are my tips for winning in a seller's market. It is tough, and you should be prepared that you're not going to win every offer and that you may have to go through this more than once. So much for watching my video. I really appreciate it. Leave me a comment down below and let me know what kind of questions you have about buying or selling in the Minneapolis and Twin Cities area. Or if there are neighborhoods that you're interested in seeing. I love doing neighborhood tours, so drop me a comment down below. I'd love to hear it. Thanks.